Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is all about twin pregnancies.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare, you know.
Okay.
Only 1 in 80 pregnancies results in twins, so you're in rare company if this
Hmm.
is you. And we really want to unpack what makes these pregnancies unique. We'll be talking about all sorts of things from the biology of how twins actually develop, and then some of the potential challenges that come with it, and then of course the incredible joy that comes with welcoming 2 little ones into the world.
Absolutely.
So let's just get right into it. I think most people listening probably have a basic understanding of what identical versus non-identical twins are. But
Yeah.
can you actually walk us through the biological processes behind each type?
Absolutely. So, with identical twins, or what we call monozygotic twins, we have a single fertilized egg that splits and then results in two embryos with the same genetic material. So that's why identical twins are always the same sex and often look very similar. They are essentially natural clones. And then we have non-identical twins, and that's also called dizygotic twins, and that happens when two separate eggs are fertilized by two different sperm. So they're no more alike genetically than any other siblings would be.
That makes sense. So why is it important to determine early on whether twins are identical or not?
Well, knowing the type of twins can really help healthcare providers anticipate any potential risks, and then they can tailor the prenatal care accordingly. For example, an ultrasound during the first trimester can reveal if the twins share a placenta, and that's what we call monochorionic, or if they have separate placentas, which are dichorionic. You can kind of imagine the placenta as the lifeline between the mom and the baby, supplying nutrients and oxygen. If twins show this lifeline, it can lead to some considerations that we may need to take.
So sharing a placenta can potentially lead to complications. So what are some of the things that might come up during a twin pregnancy that expectant parents should be aware of?
Okay, yeah. Well, most twin pregnancies are healthy and lead to the birth of healthy babies. But there are some additional factors to consider. So, for instance, mothers carrying twins have a higher chance of developing conditions like high blood pressure or gestational diabetes. These are often manageable with lifestyle changes and medication, but it's important to monitor them closely.
That makes total sense. And what about the risk of anemia? I've heard that the risk of that is higher in twin pregnancies. Is that because the babies are essentially competing for nutrients?
You are exactly right. That's a great point. Yeah, with two growing babies, the demand for iron, which is essential for red blood cell production, is significantly increased. So that's why iron supplements are often recommended to prevent or treat anemia.
And sadly, I know there's also an increased risk of miscarriage with twins. Is that more common early on in the pregnancy?
Unfortunately, yes. The early weeks of any pregnancy can be a vulnerable time, and this is amplified with twins. So sometimes one twin may be miscarried while the other continues to develop healthily, and this can be incredibly difficult emotionally. So it's really important for expectant parents to have a strong support system during this time.
For sure. For sure. Okay, well, kind of shifting gears a bit, I know another topic that comes up a lot with twin pregnancies is preterm delivery. Is that because carrying two babies is just putting extra strain on the mother's body?
Yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. Twin pregnancies tend to end a little earlier than single pregnancies. They often end before 36 weeks, while single pregnancies typically last about 40 weeks. And, babies born prematurely, especially those born before 32 weeks, may face additional health challenges. So this is definitely a factor to consider.
So it sounds like it's super important to monitor the baby's growth very closely throughout the pregnancy.
It's absolutely essential. Regular doctor visits, frequent ultrasounds. This allows healthcare providers to keep an eye on both baby's development and address any potential issues promptly.
And speaking of monitoring, I've heard of a condition called twin-twin transfusion syndrome.
Yeah.
Can you explain what it is and who's at risk?
Yeah. So twin transfusion syndrome, which is sometimes shortened to TTTS. It can occur in identical twins who share a placenta, going back to that monochorionic thing we were talking about earlier. Essentially, it involves an imbalance of blood flow through the placenta, that shared placenta. One twin, the recipient twin, receives more blood than the other, the donor twin.
So essentially, this unequal sharing of blood can impact the growth of each twin.
Exactly. And while most cases of TTTS are mild, severe cases can be serious and require specialist care. Luckily, thankfully, healthcare providers are well equipped to identify and treat TTTS, which significantly improves outcomes for both twins.
And what about triplets? Or even higher order multiples? Are those naturally occurring, or do they usually result from assisted reproductive technologies?
Okay, so triplets and beyond can occur naturally, but they're incredibly rare. With assisted reproductive technologies becoming more and more common, we are seeing more of these pregnancies. However, it's important to understand that, all those potential risks we've discussed for twins, they are amplified with triplets or more.
So it sounds like things just get exponentially more complex with each additional baby.
Yeah, you could say that. Preterm delivery is almost a given with triplets, typically occurring around 7 or 8 months. And this means that babies are born with very low birth weight, and they may face additional health challenges due to their prematurity. It's a whole other level of care and attention required.
It's pretty incredible how much there is to consider with these multiple pregnancies. We've talked about the biological marvels and the potential challenges and the heightened level of care required.
Yeah.
But, I kind of want to shift gears a bit now and explore the other side of the coin. The joy, the unique experiences, the social whirlwind that comes with having twins. Because it's not all about the medical complexities, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's While it's crucial to be aware of those potential challenges,
Mhm.
it's equally important to celebrate the rewards that come with raising twins.
Yeah, sure.
The bond they share, the milestones they reach together, the double dose of laughter and love.
Yeah.
It's truly something special.
Okay, I have to admit, the thought of dressing twins in matching outfits has always appealed to me.
Uh-huh.
Is that a cliche for a reason? Like, is there really something unique about the bond between twins?
Well, matching outfits aside, the bond between twins is often described as incredibly deep and intuitive.
Yeah.
They grow together, learn together, experience the world side by side. It's like having a built-in best friend
Right.
from the very beginning.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But on a more practical level, wouldn't you say that raising twins requires like a whole other level of organization?
Absolutely.
And let's be honest, just
Not wrong there. 2 cribs, 2 car seats, double the diapers.
yeah.
And then let's not forget about feeding 2 hungry babies simultaneously.
Right.
It's definitely a crash course in multitasking and efficiency.
And what about sleep? What about sleep?
Yeah.
Is that even a thing for parents of twins?
Let's just say those early days can be a little bit of a blur.
Yeah.
But even amidst the sleep deprivation and that whirlwind of diaper changes and feedings, there's this profound sense of joy and wonder.
Yeah.
The shared smiles, the synchronized giggles, the way they communicate with each other in their own little language, it's a constant source of amazement.
So it's a wild ride, but it's filled with immense love and
Exactly.
some unforgettable moments.
It's a journey that tests your limits, it pushes you outside of your comfort zone,
Right.
and ultimately it rewards you with a love that is twice as strong.
That's beautiful. So for all those expecting twins, or even just those who are like fascinated by this world, what would you say is like the most important thing to remember?
I would say just embrace the uniqueness of the experience.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Connect with other parents of multiples. And most importantly, celebrate the double dose of love that awaits you.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And before we wrap up this deep dive, I have one final question for you. And really, I have this question for the listeners as well.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what we know now about twin pregnancies, all the intricacies,
Yeah.
from the biological marvels to the challenges to the social whirlwind, what aspect are you most curious to explore further? What questions are still kind of lingering in your mind?
Oh, that's a great question to leave our listeners pondering on. The world of twin pregnancies is full of surprises and ongoing research. Maybe you're thinking more about the genetic factors that make twinning more likely, in certain families. Or
Right.
maybe you're wondering about the long-term developmental outcomes for twins. Like, do they develop language skills differently? Or what about their social interactions?
It really does make you think.
Yeah.
We've covered so much today, though, from the biological mechanics of how twins are formed
Yeah.
to the unique challenges and joys of raising them. But I'm sure there are so many more avenues to explore.
Absolutely. And the resources are out there, books, articles, support groups, online communities, all dedicated to helping people navigate the world of multiples. So whether you are expecting twins or, someone who is or are simply fascinated by it all, there's always more to learn.
Yep. I love that. Keep learning, keep exploring. And, just remember that every twin pregnancy is unique,
Absolutely.
just like every set of twins. Celebrate those differences, cherish the similarities, and prepare to be amazed by the double dose of love that awaits.
Well said.
It's a remarkable journey. And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of twin pregnancies. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us.